This video is extremely long, as I go into full detail of SteamOS on the Alienware Alpha's gaming console.
Hello everybody and welcome to WWTF, We Want the Facts, a game show. I'm Fred Y. Today is part 4 of the reboot review of the Alienware Alpha console, or Steam Machine, or whatever you would like to call it, where we're taking a look at the console itself, the upgradability, which we did in part 1, and the 3 different operating systems that you would have to deal with, at least with the Alienware Alpha console. One being Windows 10, which we did a review in part 2. We really didn't go into deep into Windows 10. We only covered 2 of the main applications that people were most curious about. That was Cortana and the Xbox One streaming app. Number 2 is the Alienware Alpha's console, or the Alienware Alpha's UI, which we covered in part 3, and the SteamOS client that we will be covering today. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started.
There are a couple of different ways that you can go into SteamOS on the Alienware Alpha. One being you can go inside of Windows, either Windows 10 or Windows 8.1, and go directly to picture mode. Now this will have Steam running in the background while Windows 10 is still running. Or you can access SteamOS from the Alienware console or the UI operating system. One thing to note, when you don't have a keyboard or mouse plugged up into this unit, you are supposed to be able to just go directly to the unit. If you don't have a keyboard or mouse attached to the unit, you're supposedly supposed, if you don't have a keyboard or mouse hooked up to this unit, supposedly if you don't have a keyboard and mouse hooked up to this unit, supposedly it goes directly to the Alienware UI or the Alienware console. But in my case, I had to install the operating system on this because it crashed on me once before, and I just had to reboot it. There are a few different ways that you can access SteamOS on the Alienware Alpha's console. One is by going directly into your Windows application, whether it's being Windows 8.1 or Windows 10. From there, you can go into big picture mode. But with that, SteamOS is running in the background while Windows 10 or Windows 8.1 is still running. You can choose to go to the Alienware Alpha's UI or the console and just go to programs and then access it from there. Now, supposedly, if you don't have a keyboard and mouse hooked up to this unit, it's supposed to go directly to the Alienware UI or the Alienware console. But in my case, I had to reinstall Windows 8.1 in this machine one time, and from that point, it just went directly to Windows, even when I didn't have a keyboard mouse attached to it. But for all general purposes, let's just go to the startup screen of the Alienware Alpha console and let's see how you get to it from there. So the last show that I did, I explained the Alienware console, or I call it the Alienware UI. From the sign-in screen, all you have to do is just sign in. And as I said before, when you log into the Alienware UI or the Alienware console, you'll see this alien face. And the eyes would be a different color every time that you log in to this machine. Now from the Alienware console, you will go over here to programs. Press programs. You will come down here to programs again. Press that. And you would just simply go down here and find the SteamOS client. You click into that and there you go.
You may be wondering, this looks a lot different from the Steam OS that I have on my computer. Reason being that this is the beta version of Steam OS. Now you can opt into trying this by going into your settings from your Alienware UI or the Alienware console version, and you can say, okay, look, I want to try this. But for me, this looks a lot better. It has that gaming console feel to it, so I like it a lot better. We're going to press LT and see what's in there. Now, this is the history, your currents, and your favorite. History is where you previously visit, and you can go down here to frequent. Now, this would tell you, okay, this is where you most frequent at, and these are shortcuts that you can access real quick. Current, I don't have anything current in that tab right there. Let's go to favorites. Favorites, you can see here you have some of your favorites that you can access. Now, I have Google, Twitter, Reddit, YouTube, Facebook, and welcome to my stream. Though I didn't set these as my favorite, these were automatically done by the Steam OS client. And if you go all the way over, which is not let me do, okay, there we go. The Steam community, NBL Cat Diddy games. Now this would tell me all the games that I have or that I have to choose from. Now let's go to the store. The store is the store. This is where you buy your games from. Now I do have to admit, I say this a lot. I'm not Team PC. I'm Team Mac. And Steam, I have to give it to them. They offer games a lot cheaper than what you can get on your previous generation consoles like your Xbox 360 and P3, and the current ones like the P4 and the Xbox One. Some of them are a lot cheaper. They give you sometimes earlier access to games, even. They also give you cheaper games. Now, like the Hive, people that watch the show, that are fans of the show, they know that I love a good horror game. And the Hive, I'm going to research this game before I decide to get it and see if it's any good, but I would probably more than likely get it. Now, Zombie Ombi, I have this already on the P4, and I believe this is a lot cheaper than what it costs on the P4, and there's no sales tax on this thing. You're paying $44.99, and that's a good thing. You can also pay no sale tax when you buy on PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. So there's no big difference there. But as you can see, there are a lot of games from you to choose from. So if we go down here, you have your genre, you have your top sellers, you have your specials, coming soon, new releases, and trailer TV. Then let's go back over here to genre. You have different categories you can choose from. You have the action, you have indie, you have demos, you even have music, RPG, racing, strategy. You even have games that you can play on your Mac OS. Now, I don't recommend playing games on the Mac because Macs are not set up as gaming machines, not at least yet, in my opinion. They're more used for production work like music, video, and photo production, like what I use it for when I edit these videos and send it to YouTube for you all to enjoy. So let's go to demos. Now you have a couple of games to choose from here. They don't look like they're demos that you can get on Xbox One or the P4, but nonetheless, the only one that I really see is PES 2016. Now, if you look at the bottom of the 2006 demo text, you see a Windows icon and you see a controller icon. Now, this is telling you that you can play it on a Windows machine and you can also use a controller to play it. Games that you cannot use a controller for will indicate a keyboard icon on it. Just keep in mind, if you don't have a controller, you have to play these games with a keyboard and mouse if you're used to that. I'm more used to playing with a controller, so the games that I do get, they have to have a controller because I don't like playing with the mouse and the keyboard. Let's go to free to play. Now, look at this game right here, Magic Duel Origins. It's telling you that you can play it on a Windows PC and you can use controller. Let's go to Star Trek. Okay, you notice something a little bit different here. Star Trek Online, you can play it on the PC, you can play it on your Apple computer, and you can use a controller to play this. So that's a good thing. And as I go through here, you can see the icons at the bottom where you can play these games at. So let's back out of here. Let's go up to movies and see what that has to offer, because I don't have any movies presently downloaded on here. Now you can see that the Hive is under the movie category. Now I don't know if this game is something similar to like Until Dawn or even Night Trap, if y'all can remember that, where it was a movie and you just basically didn't have too much mobility of the character. You just had options to choose from. So I'll check this out and I'll do a review on it. I'm probably going to get it and I'll let you guys know. But if anybody does have the Hive, leave a comment on the video and let me know if it's good or not. So you have a lot of different options. If you have Linux, you can play games on Linux as well. It's not really leaving anybody out, so you can play on your Mac if you have the Linux OS or if you're a Windows person. So that's pretty good. We back out of that. Now, the library, very self-explanatory. This is telling you what games you have on your system and what games you can play. Now, these, if you go to current, these are the current games that I have on the Steam OS. Now, a lot of these games are not from Steam. They got activated from the Steam side, so I didn't have to do a lot of configurations with it, and Steam just does it automatically for you. And you can do this by going down here at the bottom where it says activate a product. Now, if you buy a game from a brick and mortar store, you can activate it through Steam, and that would probably be a lot better than just to having it on your console. If you didn't want to do that, you can just add a non-Steam game and it'll put it in that Steam category for you. But the good thing about that, if you do activate a game through Steam, if you for some reason lose your disc, you can actually just go back in there and re-download the game again. If I go back up here to install, this is telling me all the games that I have installed. And right now, I'm on a Atari Jag. Now that's an emulator. Now you see that keyboard icon here? That's telling me that I can only play this emulator with the keyboard. But that's really not true, because you can hook up your joystick and go into the configurations and go ahead and play it like that. But some of the games that you try to download, if you see that icon, 9 times out of 10 you can use a controller, but some games like H1Z1, there's no controller support for that. So just do your research before you start downloading games. And go back over here to games. These are how many games that I have installed on this machine or I'm able to play, or some of the apps like Alienware Respawn. That is not a game. That is for you to make a backup bootable disk just in case you have to reinstall your operating system. So I think I put it there as a shortcut, as a game shortcut, so it was easily accessible for me. I'll go down here to videos. Videos, I don't have any videos on here, so that's empty. Downloads. Now, I just downloaded Magic Duels, and it's taking up 1.2 gigabytes of my hard drive. So that's explanatory, self-explanatory. Let's just click out of that. Now let's go to the community. Now from the tabs on the left-hand side, you see suggested, all content, friends activity, broadcast, and find a specific game hub, market, profile, friends, options, inventory. Now let's go into the community. Now you have suggested, all content, friends activity, broadcast, find a specific game hub, market, and then some stuff about you like your profile, your friends, your options, and your inventory. Now, all of this stuff is pretty much self-explanatory. This is just giving you news. With the all content is just telling you what's going on in the Steam community, what's going on with some of the games people are playing. Down here, your friends activity, that's telling you what your friends are playing on Steam. Basically, that was it. Broadcast is telling you, much like the Xbox One and the P4, what is being broadcast on the Steam OS side of things. Now, you could go in here, you can find the favorite game that you like, and you can look at it, okay? Find a specific hub. If you don't see the game that you want to take a look at, you can go in here, you can type in, okay, Pac-Man, and it should be able to pull it up. Market, select to view Steam community market. I think this tab is the tab where people are trading games. I'm not quite sure what the market really is. Profile is my profile. You can select your friends list, the options that's coming soon that's not here. Inventory, you can see actually what's on your Steam OS or your Alienware Alpha. And one thing, let me go back to the library real quick because there was something I forgot to mention. Now, the games on here, as I said before, a lot of these games were not purchased from the Steam OS client. Some of these games were purchased from the brick and mortar store, and I just activated it through Steam OS. You see this is my Nintendo emulator. And when you attach this to the Steam OS client, you don't get that picture. What you have to do is you have to make a picture jacket for that. And you can see some of these games I don't have a jacket for. I haven't made a jacket for that yet. But you can search online and get the dimensions and how to do that. It's very simple. And pretty soon, when I do this again, I'll have jackets for all my games, such as Soma and Mortal Kombat 10. But that's something that I've forgotten to mention. But when you add these games, you can make custom jackets for it. So let's get out of that. So I had already covered community. Let's press the right trigger button. Right trigger button. It brings up your friends list, much like the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. You can see who's online. I only have 2 buddies that I know that have the Steam OS that I'm really friends with, and they're not online. You can go down here to groups. Now, the groups is showing that somebody is playing Tom Clancy Ghost Recon, Ghost Recon Phantom or Ghost Phantoms. Over 1,000 people are playing that. I can get into the groups, possibly join a game. Invites, nobody sent me an invite yet, so that's where your invites will be. You can search for your friends, you can add friends, or you can join a group. So there's no group that I want to join right now, so let's back out of that. And that's the right trigger button. Now let's go down. Right here, you can see it's telling you friends are playing Evolved. I think I gave Evolve a bad rating. I really didn't like it. Now I can resume play if I go here, or don't forget to play this. Now I don't have this game. Let's click on here anyway. So it's telling me, it's giving me this game actually. I didn't know that. So let's just go ahead and install it. So it's telling me to check out this game that I don't have. And you see this icon right here? It's saying that I cannot play this game with a joystick. I can only play it with a keyboard and mouse. So I'm probably not going to play that game a lot because I really don't like playing games with the keyboard and the mouse. I prefer a controller. Now let's go all the way up. Now right here you can see I have mail. And it's telling me to check it. I have not checked any of this mail yet, but let's just keep going. And if I didn't say before, this is being controlled not with a keyboard and mouse, but this is being controlled by the wireless Xbox 360 controller that came with the unit. So you go here to music. You can browse for music that's on your hard drive, but I don't have anything currently on here, so you're not going to see anything. Back out of that. This is the download tab. Now, this is telling you what is being downloaded, the speed of the download, and how much space it's going to take on your hard drive. That's pretty much it. And this is games that I have installed on here, videos. I got 4 downloads that I recently did. I have 95 apps installed on here, 95 games apparently, but it's telling me that I have 105 apps or games or whatever. I have a lot of stuff installed on this thing. Let's back out of that. Settings is pretty much the settings, how you're going to control your Alienware Alpha console. Now we have accounts, friends, in-game, home streaming, language, on-screen keyboard, interface, library, add a library shortcut, family library sharing, family view, controller, store, display, audio, music, voice, downloads, stream, broadcast, and disk management. Excuse me, but my voice just cracked. Now let's start off with accounts. Now, I'm not going to go through this because it's going to show my information and I don't want to share that with anybody. Let's go down to friends instead. But accounts would tell you what your account is, your email that you use to register with Steam and so forth and so on. Let's go to friends. Now, friends, this will give you the option to automatically sign into friends, display timestamps in chat. You can play a sound when you receive a message to display the notification. You can have a sound come in when your friends join either your game session or is online. This here is where you can control all of that at. And you can name your avatar or your profile name would be here. But my profile name pretty much is MBL Cat Diddy. That's my rap name as well, without the MBL in it, for those who know that I, perform as well. Now let's go to in-game. Here you can set up shortcut to access stuff while you're playing a game. You can have keyboard shortcuts. Just in case you don't have a physical keyboard, you can use the on-screen keyboard. Let's just get out of here. And home streaming. If somebody's on the Windows side and they're doing something on that, but you want to play one of your Steam OS games, you can do so by attaching another computer to this for you to be able to do so. Much like the PS Vita is to the PlayStation platforms, or like the Xbox streaming app is to the Xbox One. You can do that here. Language, speak English. But you can go in here and you can set it up to the language that you speak. So that's pretty good. On-screen keyboard. Now you use this if you don't have a physical keyboard, but most people do. I have a Bluetooth Logitech keyboard already hooked up to this, so I really don't have to deal with this. So let's just back out of here. But most people do have a physical keyboard. Let's go down here to interface. Interface. Now, this tab right here where it says that you can start in big picture mode, this is usually something that you can do inside of Windows 10 or Windows 8.1, whichever operating system that you have, but Windows will still run in the background. I don't have this enabled. I like the way that this boots up to this new platform right here. You can have your default search engines, which mine would be Google always, or you can customize that. And you can go over here to screensavers, where you can allow, if you don't have any activity going on in your computer where you're not playing a game or you just have it sitting idle, it will go to the screensaver and you can have it at a certain time that you want it to do so. I have mine set up to 15 minutes. But let me change this to never, because I never use a screensaver on my stuff. I just like my stuff to be able to be accessible as soon as I come back to my controller. So if I had to get up and use the bathroom or get something to drink, I don't have to fuss with the loading time going back to the screen that I was previously on. And you can go down here and have the style screensavers. Currently it was on Bubbles, or you can go to Trailer TV. I'm not using a screensaver, so I don't need to mess with that. So back out of that. Now let's go to add a library shortcut. Now from here, you can just add shortcuts that you need to gain quick access to. Family library sharing, let's click into that. If you have another computer on your network, you can go ahead and authorize it here so they'll be able to enjoy some of the Steam games that you have. Family view. I don't have another PC in here besides the one I use for production when somebody comes over and they're not familiar with the Mac OS platforms. But I'm not going to add that here. But if you did have another computer here, you can use this to set all of those up. The controller. Now, there's a Steam controller that supposedly come out for this, but I like the Xbox 360 wireless controller a lot better. If I'm able to get a hold of that Steam controller, I will do another review on that. Actually, I will do a review on the Steam OS controller, but for me, when I looked at it, I really didn't like it. I'm more accustomed to the Xbox and the PlayStation style of controller, and that Steam controller just looked a lot awkward to me. So I'm probably going to get it and I'll do a review, and hopefully it does a better job, but right now I really doubt it. Store, this is where you can go and set up how you purchase items from the store. Now let's go to display. This is where you can tweak the setup for your display. Now, if you're able to do 1920 by 1080, that's 1080p, you can do the highest resolution. If you're not able to do that, you could scale it down a little bit. For me, a lot of games running on this i3 processor, I would have to scale down a lot because it's not able to handle 1920 by 1080. So you would go in here, especially if you have the i3 processor version of it, you would go in here and you would make changes quite frequently. But let's just keep it on this setting right here. Let's go down to audio. This is where you can control the sounds, the ambience, the movies that play, and the navigation sound. So if you want to have certain things turned up, or if you want to have just things just muted, you can do so here. Let's back out of that. Let's go to music. Now you can tweak how you want your music programs to start up. That's basically it. Let's back out of that. Voice. Now, in some games, the voice chat, you would have to press a certain keystroke. Mine is set up to just do it automatically. So games like H1Z1, I still believe that you have to have a certain keystroke in order for the other players to hear you. But for right now, I can just go ahead and do it automatically. I don't have to press anything on the keyboard. So you manage your voice, like your receiver volume and your microphone volume, and you can even test it to make sure everything is working fine. So that's about it. Let's back up out of there. Downloads, you can go to your certain region or your local region. Mine, since I live in the Washington, D.C. area, it would be Washington, D.C. The bandwidth, I have no limit because I have a pretty good internet connection. Schedule updates, I don't turn this thing on enough to have that activated, so I just leave that like it is. So let's just back out of that. Now let's go to systems. Now, as you can see right here, this is telling you what your system is. Now I have the i3 version of the Alienware Alpha, and these are my specs. And you can do updates to your system as well. And if you decide to, for instance, upgrade your memory, this will show here. You really can't do too many upgrades other than the memory, the processor, and the hard drive. That's the only thing that you could do there. And I mentioned that in part 1 of the episode. You can also do an external upgrade of your sound card and possibly an external upgrade of your video card. And if you want more information about that, just look at part 1 of the series. Let's back out of that. Now let's go to broadcasting. Now this will allow your friends to watch if you want to set it up like that. The video dimensions, which you can give a real good quality of it, and that also relies on the bit rate that you can stream at as well. So I have mine set here.
and I do a pretty good stream. Now, the good thing about this, very much like Xbox and PlayStation 4, you can use certain applications to do your stream. The best one that you can use is XSplit. Now, when you do launch a game, XSplit will come up in a little bubble on your lower left hand side or lower right hand side, and it would tell you that you can have certain keystrokes to be able to launch a broadcast of this game. All right, let's go to disk management. Now, as you can see, I only have a 500 gig hard drive on here, and most of my games are on my external hard drive. And I do that because if I keep downloading games to the hard drive that came with this system, I would completely run out of space. But right here is just showing you all the games that you have on that hard drive. And three games in particular that I see right now, Evil Within, Evolved, and Train Simulator. These were not games that I purchased through Steam. These were games that I activated through Steam, and it's a lot different, and I'll explain that. Now, these three games I got them from a brick and mortar store. I didn't get them from Steam, but I activated it through Steam. And the good thing about that is if I ever scratch or lose the disc that I have, I can just go through Steam and re-download the game without having to find the CDs. And that's a good thing. So let's just back out of that. And if we go over here to the power button, you can return to the desktop from here. You can exit from Steam. You can log out as a Steam user. You can turn off the system or restart the system or suspend the system. So that's all that does. And this is how you shut it down. You don't press that power button. Never do that. Okay? Never do that. And that's going to do it for the fourth installment of the reboot review of the Alienware Alpha gaming console, Steam machine, mini PC, whatever you want to call it. And one more thing, a lot of people may have another question. Is this competing with next generation consoles, such as the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4? In my opinion, I think so. Not the i3 version, but the i7 version. Now, if you get the i7 version and you bump it up to 16 gigs of RAM, this will compete with those next generation consoles. And the reason why I say that is that the graphics are a lot better, the mechanics are a lot better, it's upgradable. This is a system that is going to last longer than your next gen consoles. By the way of being able to do upgrades, the configurations on the current consoles that we have now are already set for you, but the ones on the Alienware Alpha, you have to go in here and tweak a lot of stuff. But even with that, I honestly think that this is a better gaming system than the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. Games are like cheaper on here. Sometimes you have earlier access to games, and not only can you play games that are on the PlayStation and the Xbox, you can also play PC games. Now, a lot of exclusive games you cannot play on this, like Until Dawn is exclusively on the PlayStation 4, or something like Super Mario Maker. But there are ways that you can play those games. I'm not going to advertise that because I don't want this video to get flagged. But my final thoughts, I like it. If you are thinking about getting this machine, I would say go ahead. It is a good investment if you want a portable gaming system that you can not only play some of the games that's on the video game consoles that's out now, but a lot of PC games, and the games are somewhat much cheaper, and you get them a little bit earlier than you would get games that's on the consoles that we have now. But that's going to do it for WWTF. We want the Facts of Gaming show. I hope that this 4-part series was quite informative to you. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any more questions, please leave it in the comments below. I will go back and do a full scale of Windows 10 because I didn't really get into Windows 10 like I wanted to. I only went on 2 parts of that. That was the Katana app which allowed you to have a conversation with your computer and use your voice to open up applications, and the Xbox streaming app, which was pretty good. The only thing I really didn't like about that is that you're not able to stream Xbox 360 games, sort of like what the Vita does for the PlayStation platforms. I really didn't like that, but overall, I gave everything that I reviewed on here a 5 out of 5. So, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on WWTF. We want the facts, the gaming show.